All right, everybody. Tuesday, September 20th, 7 o'clock. We start on time. Virginia Tech and West Virginia folks coming together, starting on time, getting it done. We are the Sons of Saturday. Billy Ray Mitchell is coming live to you from Blacksburg, Virginia, and Grayson Wimbish is coming from Los Angeles, California. But we want to take a second and we want to introduce our guests. Before we do that, as always, this podcast is brought to you by Main Street Pharmacy. Stopped on by over there today, picked up the game day pins, saw some other folks headed over there to pick up their game day pins. So make sure you head on over there and get your fix. We love seeing it. We got about, I think, 500 or 750 of those pins. So if you're a student, if you're coming in, whatever you're doing, go ahead and grab one. But Grayson, go ahead and introduce our guests this week.
Hey, what was the name of your sponsor, by the way?
Main Street Pharmacy.
Main Street Pharmacy. If you want a really good show to sponsor, talk to us at the Burning Couch. I'll give you a good rate.
I don't know if Dr. Jeremy counts. I don't know
Jeremy
if he'll do
counts.
it.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and make the warm intro. Grayson, introduce our very sales-oriented guests here.
Absolutely. So we are joined today by Matty Staudt and Steve Slaton, who founded and co-host the Burning Couch podcast. Here's a little bit about the two of them. Matty Staudt is the president and founder of Jam Street Media and has been in a broadcasting booth since the age of 16 in his hometown of Kaiser, West Virginia. During his radio career, he has been an on-air host, morning show lead, and executive producer at legendary stations such as WJFK in Washington, D.C., WNEW in New York City, Alice Radio, and Live 105 in San Francisco. In 2007, Matty redirected his radio career toward the new world of podcasting. Here we are, gentlemen. He's also been a consultant for top companies like Cisco, SiriusXM, and the Federal Reserve Bank, creating branded content podcasts, coaching hosts and producers, and formulating dynamic podcast strategies since 2011. And then Steve Slaton is a West Virginia University and football legend who played running back from 2005 to 2007. While in Morgantown, Slaton was an instrumental piece in some of the best Mountaineer football teams ever fielded, alongside his quarterback and fellow West Virginia standout, who you can see right behind him in the back on the YouTube channel, Patrick White. Slaton rushed for just shy of 4,000 yards in 3 seasons, scored 55 touchdowns, and averaged a lot of touchdowns, 5.8 yards per carry. And Hokies will remember, as a freshman in 2005, Steve Slaton most notably rushed for 90 yards against a very talented Virginia Tech defense after being listed as the 4th-string running back coming in to that season as a freshman. He was then drafted in the 3rd round of the 2008 NFL Draft by the Houston Texans and went on to also play for the Miami Dolphins and the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League. Gentlemen, we appreciate you. Thank you for doing this. Welcome to the Sons of Saturday. It's an honor.
Thank you.
Hey, you go, Matty.
No, I'm just saying thanks because I've talked to you guys for a little bit, and it's good to actually get on the show. But Steve's the one everybody wants to talk to. So go ahead, Steve.
Thanks for the introduction. I think that was a great one. I think what they missed, Matty, is that you were also in Cars.
Oh yeah, people. Yes. I'm a toy. I actually have my own toy from the movie Cars. I was a voice of one of the reporters that had a couple scenes and everything.
Oh wow! You said that very like
nonchalant.
Yeah, I did this. That's pretty cool.
It's just a Pixar movie, still get royalties from it. It's okay.
Matty, do you have your SAG-AFTRA card? Serious question.
I don't want to pay the dues on it, so I have the option to have it if I want to do other stuff. But if you look up MATTI character Cars, you'll see it. That's
wow.
They named it Matty too.
We gotta go back and find that. We're gonna dig that up. That's awesome.
Yes, you'll hear me say famous lines like, "Race car Lightning McQueen is missing. We found McQueen. Hey everybody, McQueen's over here. Were you in rehab?" I ask him a bunch of dumb questions. That's it. Oh, and then I chase after him at the end. So there you go.
Oh man, that's awesome. So we're here to talk about a very important football game. Unfortunately, at ACC, at Big 12. At college football. You heard about the Bedlam battle being knocked out and all these amazing rivalries. I don't know why we can't play this game every single year, but we're playing it this year. We're playing it in Blacksburg. Grayson, why don't you go ahead and give us the storylines of the game? They are brought to us by our friends over at First and Main. I was just over at First and Main this morning. You can eat, you can play, you can shop head on over. Complete experience for everything that you need. Avoid the traffic of Main Street. Get over to First and Main. They have all of your boxes checked. But Grayson, go ahead and set the table.
That's a really good read. That's a good read. That sounded like you just worked it into the show. I'm proud of you, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Matty.
Yeah,
this is nice. Look, we're getting along great so far. We're getting along great. And game day is only, 48 hours away. So go ahead, Grayson, set the table.
So, yeah, the Black Diamond Trophy is currently in the possession of the West Virginia Mountaineers as a result.
Where it belongs.
I don't know about all that. As a result of last year's matchup in Morgantown that ended in very dramatic fashion, as we all know, and very frustrating fashion for the Virginia Tech Hokies. The Black Diamond Trophy had also previously resided in Blacksburg since 2004 after the Hokies beat the Mountaineers in their first year in the ACC. It was 19-13. We had that blocked punt. Vincent Fuller scooped and scored for 6. Looking back all the way many years ago, out of the 53 meetings of the two schools, West Virginia leads the series 29-23 with one tie occurring on October 1st, 1966 in Blacksburg. Since 1990, the Hokies have led the series with 12 victories to West Virginia's 6. We've only played 18 times since 1990. We have got to get those numbers up.
Can I ask you a question before we go into this stuff from this year? I want to ask you all, because you're going to have more of a historical context than me. And we'll start with Matty, go to Steve, and then Grayson. As you look at the history of the Virginia Tech-West Virginia game, is there a specific game or a specific moment that stands out to all of you for the history here?
Well, I'm a bit older than all of you. And, it's a big game in West Virginia for a lot of reasons. One is a lot of, in high school, a lot of guys go to Tech, a lot of guys go to WVU. So there's that. And just the whole, we have to fight we're not Virginia. We're West Virginia thing. Right. Whenever I say I'm from West Virginia, I have a friend that's a Hokie. I'm like, no, F that guy. That's not West Virginia. So it's a big game for us. I don't, there's quite a few. I don't even the one. Of course, I'm a West Virginia fan, so I remember the ones we lost. Because that's what we carry, and of course, Michael Vick and the run. I mean, that I was at that game, and yeah, that sucked. So, yeah.
Steve, what about you?
For me, I'll say I'd start with my game or the year I played, because that was a kind of vaulted me into the starting position. So, and actually, I was like, I think I was a leading rusher that game too. And I remember watching Virginia Tech more on TV and just being in awe of how good they were. So, but I'll say other game would be we have a guest coming on after this show tonight. Quincy Wilson, when they beat, I think they were number 3 at home. You upset you guys.
Okay, Quincy Wilson.
Do you know what year that was, Steve?
What, Matty, 2002?
2002, I believe.
Sounds right.
Yes, I'll get it for you guys. Just I should know, because we're prepping for Quincy after this show, but yeah.
A very historical game to where it became beating some champions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. I think Bill would be able to attest to this as well. I've been a lifelong Hokie. I remember how heated the rivalry was, obviously. But after 2005, we're on a drought where we don't play you guys until 2017. And I was at that game. Bill, you were at that game. I mean, it's like we picked up immediately where we left off.
What a game that was, man. There were so many talented players, especially on West Virginia's offense and on Tech's defense. I remember, I think his name was Kenny or Kevin Sills when he was in high school, because we were going to play against their high school, and he was just a stud. I'm pretty sure his dad was coach.
David Sills the fourth, right?
David Sills the fourth. He was like a 4 or 5-star quarterback, moves to wide receiver, and was just an absolute animal. And then the redemption story for the quarterback who had the issues at Florida, and then he gets hooked up with Dana Holgerson. I mean, that was an awesome game with some really great storylines.
Will Greer played his ass off that game.
Yes, he did.
He had a hell of a football game.
Yes, he did. And then let's turn the page into this year, Grayson. What do we got?
Yeah, so let's set the table a little bit. Let's look at West Virginia first. West Virginia is 1-2 through week 3. With losses, a very tough loss to Pittsburgh. I wanted y'all to win that game.
Great game.
Great game.
Great game played every year, please.
Yes. Exactly. Backyard brawl. Give it to us every year. And then Kansas. West Virginia lost 2 weeks ago to Kansas. Last week they got their first win of 2022 over Towson in emphatic fashion. The Mountaineers scored 65 points. JT Daniels threw for 174 yards and a touchdown while going 16 for 24. For us last Saturday, it was the Wofford Terriers. We won. We're 2-1 through week 3. Our first loss came from Old Dominion. Don't want to talk about it. We also beat Boston College at home in a 27-10 game. Can't get past the 27-point mark. Maybe we'll do it on Thursday. We're working on that. But it's interesting because Grant Wells, our quarterback, was 26 of 35 for 314 yards this past Saturday. But you look at JT Daniels' numbers, and West Virginia's putting up way more points, and Bill's going to talk to us about that.
Yeah, I just want to take a second, and we'll start with you, Matty. Can you talk to me a little bit about the feeling of the fan base? How is it going on? Because I know we're in a little bit different situation. Neil Brown has been there for a while. We just switched over to Coach Pry. What is kind of the feeling of Mountaineer Nation right now through 3 games?
Well, West Virginia fans, we don't know how to win and we don't know how to lose. That is just the way we are. You know, if we're winning, it's oh gosh, we're going to lose. And if we're losing, it's oh my God, let's fire the coach. Neil is the best recruiter we've ever had. We're now just starting to see his teams. I mean, Dana left us cold, nothing in the cupboard. This offense will destroy every defense it faces this year.
Yep.
It is that powerful and that good. JT Daniels is legit. He is an NFLer. He has everything going for him. He's got good receivers. He's made a new man out of Bryce Ford Wheaton. He's also great on the sideline. He's great with he just is the total package. He's as promised. We got what we were promised. And we knew it from the first snap of the first game because he fumbled the ball and then he came up and passed it. And we were like, oh gosh, Daggy would have fallen on the ball and 20 yards back. So we have I have no problem with, and then, Steve, maybe we could talk about this backfield that we have now. That's also amazing. I mean, I couldn't be happy. I mean, we're talking about 2 games we lost by 3 plays. One was a special teams play. One was a freakily dropped pass. But we should never have let the scores get up that high. So that, we'll talk about defense later.
Yeah, going over some of the numbers, and then I'll pass it over to you, Steve. So on offense, West Virginia is scoring 46 points per game, 513 yards per game. Steve, for anybody for any Tech fans who may have not watched a lot of West Virginia, walk me through their system. Walk me through what's going really well. Who are some of the players that have really led to that happening?
From my time system has changed. We did open zone, spread the field out, but now it's more of a power or just West Coast system too as well. But, we have a phenomenal freshman, CJ Donaldson, who's just a godsend. He's one of the guys that's bringing back the lineage of great running backs that West Virginia had. Tony Mathis is the starter as well. So I think we have a great 1-2 punch of just on offense and being able to run the ball and come with play action and throwing. I think that's what we've been lacking for a few years, is having a great running game. Running game sets up the play option.
I think this is what's most interesting to me about this game, because at the end of the day, like you said, you guys are going to be able to score on anybody. We have been pretty pleasantly surprised with our defensive input. Now, before we move over to that, Tech is averaging 23.7 points per game, 364 yards per game. The offensive line is not awesome. If you remember the game last year, West Virginia had a day against the Virginia Tech offensive line. Do you all remember the player who had 4 or 5 sacks? He was the Big 12 defensive player of the year.
Stills.
Yeah, the kid's a stud. Kid's a stud. He's back this year. So this is the $1 million question. Is Virginia Tech's defense legitimate? Because we know West Virginia's offense is legitimate. And what is West Virginia's defense going to be able to do? So if we go ahead and we turn the page to West Virginia's defense, they're allowing 33.3 points per game. Matty, can you walk me through? It's always been the way West Virginia has been for the most part. We're going to score a ton of points. And if we're really good, we're always going to score more than you, but we're typically not going to have an awesome defense. So walk me through the defense that the Mountaineers fielded this year.
And that's crazy because it used to be WDU. Like, that's what we were known for. We were the defensive school. So our defense has been Jekyll and Hyde. We got a front line that can just go off and get it to a quarterback and swarm and tackle. we lost a lot of people in the backfield for the transfer portal, but we got some really good guys. I think the second game against Kansas, the defense never showed up. I don't, maybe Steve can speak to this. It seemed like they just had that Pitt hangover, and they just were never there. They just weren't there. It was like, where are these guys? Where's Stills? Where are all these guys? The last game, of course, it was Townsend, but boy, did they didn't allow a point. They were like there to prove something, like that we're good. So I don't know what you guys are going to get. I honestly can't tell you, which one you'll get, but definitely if you're passing well and short passes, we've not done very good at that.
Steve, can you talk a little bit about when you're on offense and like we've said, it's always been West Virginia is going to score points. How frustrating is it from an offensive perspective to put up 40, 50, 60 points and you feel like you're spending all day on the field, but no matter how many points you score, it's going to be a continuous close game? It just seems like that's been the cycle with West Virginia for the last 6 or 7 years.
I think as offense, you can only worry about what you're doing. So,
Right.
it can be frustrating, but, you got to go out there and win. It's a, 22-man sport. So all phases need to show up in that game. So that's just the biggest thing is to where, hey, I used to love scoring touchdowns. So if it's a high-scoring game, I'm about it.
You scored a lot of them. 55.
You indeed did. Let's do this. Let's talk about some of the biggest question marks, and we'll give you our question marks from the Virginia Tech standpoint, and you all give us your question marks. Our biggest question mark, in my opinion, is the offensive line play going to be better? These kind of go hand in hand. The offensive line play has not been great. We've had a lot of folks who have transferred out, who have graduated. Some of the folks that transferred out have actually transferred to West Virginia and have been fantastic at West Virginia. But that's kind of been the age-old question is we have a lot of really, really talented backs. Malachi Thomas, who has not played yet this year. Keyshawn King, who sat out last week. Bryce Duke, who is a freshman who got to see the field last week and saw his first touchdown. And also Jalen Holston, who has gotten a very large load of the carries. At the end of the day, in my opinion, it is Grant Wells going to be able to make good decisions, which he has gotten better at. He has one or two of those throws that you're like, oh my gosh, why are we throwing it into triple coverage here? And then in the running game, it comes down to our running backs. If they can make one guy miss, because undoubtedly there will be somebody running free in our backfield. Will we be able to have a dynamic back healthy enough to make up for the issues that we have up front right now? Grayson, I'll go ahead and pass it to you. The only sure thing I know is that Virginia Tech, I feel like in the 3 games that I've seen it, has a good defense. Dax Hollifield is much improved. So that's the one thing that I feel like we can hang our hat on. Grayson.
It's for me, it's just a matter of the offensive line play does concern me, especially last week. Is Keyshawn King going to play on Thursday? That's a huge question that, I just don't think anyone really knows the answer to. Matty and Steve, he's basically our number 1 running back. If he can play, he should play. He did not play against Wofford. So if he doesn't play on Thursday, that's big time for y'all. And then it's just how much time is Grant Wells going to have in the pocket to be able to make plays? That is a serious concern. I honestly think out of the teams that we have played up until this moment, West Virginia's defensive line is the best.
Yes.
Is the best and will be the biggest test to this moment.
It might be the best one we play all year. In all actuality. I'll go ahead and pass it to you, Matty.
Well, hearing what you just said makes me even more excited about beating you on Thursday because that's what we need. We need a questionable offensive line because we know our defensive line will swarm and get in there. And if they do that, then it's less pressure on the backfield. So that's something for us. Who's going to show up? Which team on defense? We don't know. Special teams has also been a little bit of a concern for us. We've had a couple dumb plays on special teams. The only points scored against us from Townsend was special teams. And that worries me. Every time we get a kickoff, I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? Those are my top concerns. And I don't mean to sound so confident, but I have no worries about JT Daniels in that offense. I just have zero. He is just smart, knows what to do with the ball, and the whole team believes in him. And those guys are catching balls that they did not catch for the past 2 seasons.
You know what? On that point, Matty, he's one of those guys who the only vision of him that they have is what he looks like. And unfortunately, he doesn't look like a guy who's going to dice you up. But if you look at his box score and you watch him play the game, you watch the actual tape, the guy's a stud. The guy
looks like a rich kid from Orange County, which he is.
Yeah.
So
he could step into I believe he could step into any league and be successful in college. He has done it with a slew of new wide receivers and, a lot of different challenges. So I do think that Hokie fans need to understand JT Daniels is the real deal. I know that we had this, 2-system quarterback thing last year. It is a very different situation this year.
There's a point that Matty made earlier. Matty, you said that JT Daniels has made a man out of Bryce Ford Wheaton. I just want to hammer that home for you. Bryce Ford Wheaton in 2022 has 24 receptions for 296 yards and 4 touchdowns, currently sitting with an average of 12.3 yards reception per game. That's insane. And what, I guess last season he didn't produce at that level, or maybe he wasn't on that level. I don't want to bash the kid.
You didn't have the arm strength to reach him. I will say
no.
that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing to point out now, we were talking about offensive defense, but this still is a rivalry game. So it can go anyway. Just like what happened back in 2002, it's happened last year, the past few years. I mean, we're both starting, this rivalry back up again. So it's really who's want to show up, because rivalries always turn the best out for teams.
And I like to say it is neat. It's going to be good to see play in Blacksburg. I got to go, I've been to games at Blacksburg, and it is a special place to do it.
This is a great transition. This is a public service announcement, and this public service announcement is brought to you by The Edge. It's right across the street from VT campus. It's the best.
What are we doing, Steve? Where are these guys for us?
What is
Virginia businesses? You're terrible.
We can help you out. We can help you out. Blacksburg's small. I know Morgantown's a little bit bigger. I've said it before. I was like, hey, if Virginia Tech,
and I don't mean to interrupt your host, Reed.
No. I appreciate it.
You do such a good job at it, Billy Ray. I might hire you sometime to do some voice for us.
Thank you, Matt. I am looking for work. Check out. Yeah, and actually, coincidentally enough, did get laid off last Monday. I appreciate everybody reaching out and sending their well wishes. It does mean a ton. But Matty, yeah, definitely. I will be sending you my resume after this call.
And I will wipe my bum with it. And
very good.
I'm joking. I love you, dude.
I love you too, Matty. Check out The Edge Apartments, best off-campus living in Virginia Tech campus area. Walk to campus, close to downtown, everything included. Utilities fully furnished. Apply today at vtcampus.com or text VT-EDGE to 540-202-1638 for more info. This is my public service.
Hold on. I hear that apartment building, I'm going to help you with your read here a little bit. All the women are gorgeous, and all the boys are good looking. So why not live there? All right, go ahead.
Why not? Why not? I got to send you. So now I got to send you 15% of the royalties to this advertisement for this episode.
You could just PayPal me $2. That's okay.
This is my public service announcement. Look, this is a great rivalry. It's a special thing for 2 incredible fan bases, proud programs, a ton of history. It's great to be a part of it. We're going to be rowdy. We're going to have an impact in the game, just like Morgantown had an impact in the game a year ago. But please remember this. If you're a fan that is meeting West Virginia fans, if you're a West Virginia fan traveling to Blacksburg, the game is not about you. You didn't practice for the game. You didn't watch film for the game. You're not going to play in the game. You will not make a tackle, catch a touchdown, make an interception. You will literally do nothing except yell during the game. Please do not be an asshole. It takes minimum effort to not be an asshole. We want to continue to play these games. We don't want issues. I want every West Virginia fan to come to the Virginia Tech game and say, you know what? It was a great game, and I had an awesome experience. Because that's what our buddy Pat did when he went to Morgantown. So don't make your entire school look poorly. Don't make a bad experience. Enjoy the football game. That's that.
And for the record, For the record, everything that I've heard about the experience in Morgantown last year, every Hokie that I've talked to said that they had a great time.
Yeah.
Said that West Virginia fans could not have been any more friendly.
I actually, in the spirit of that, and I want to see if you guys agree, 99.999% of the time that somebody is acting like an ass at these games, they didn't even graduate from the school. It's usually someone who didn't go there, who apparently loves West Virginia more than they love not spending 60 days in jail or harming somebody.
And they've usually had an orange crush and moonshine, about 10 of them before the game.
Definitely moonshine.
Yeah,
it's weird though. I went to an alumni party with a few years and when we first played again, and there was Virginia Tech folks there too, and just how many of the young Virginia Tech fans did not understand the rivalry at all. Didn't know the history of it, and it was so I think there's a factor of that goes into it as well, where some people are just like, they know it's exciting that we're doing it again, but they don't have the same kind of build up
appreciation for it.
Or the hatred that we have built up, but that is true, and we have a reputation as being not the best fans sometimes. You
guys are passionate. Y'all are passionate. We get it.
Let's just be honest with you. The WVU is very good at drinking. That is really.
Let's call a spade, Matty.
So speaking of drinking, Steve, I got to ask you, dude. What's up with the Gatorade and vodka? That is abhorrent. That is. I was doing my podcast research. What's going on, man? Is everything okay at home? I know you have other options.
He said, "I'm doing great, man."
Listen, I'm an older gentleman, so I've been down the whole of drinks. I think this was just the best one. You're the best of two worlds, right?
Okay, so you're staying hydrated. You're getting right at the same time.
Yes, 2 birds, 1 stone.
What color Gatorade? I meant to ask you that. Like, what is the mixer? Here's a.
It depends. I like the white cherry. I like the grape. I like red. Yeah, I think any Gatorade, but I'll say probably white cherry is my favorite.
Have you named it? Is it like a Slaton Slammer, or like have you came up with some sort of name? That's what you got to do. You all want to talk about doing ad reach? I got to go to any bar and say, pay us X amount. We're gonna do Slaton Slammers. We're doing a read off every podcast. I want to open a bar in Morgantown and pay you guys to do that for us anyway.
The bar's hands will be too weak. They're poured too light.
Not enough sauce.
Not in Morgantown.
Not enough sauce. Oh, fine.
Spirit of the next exercise. Here's what we're going to do. In the spirit of niceness, we're all going to say something nice about the opposing school. And I will go first. I would like to say, I have always admired y'all's football teams. I like your jerseys. You guys score a ton of points. I don't think it's possible for you to be in high school when Pat White and Steve Slaton and Geno Smith and Tavon Austin had it going, and you weren't like, oh my God, I'm going to sit on my couch and I'm going to watch West Virginia score 110 points on Oklahoma this weekend. It was electrifying. It was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. And then headed on down there. I went down there my freshman year. What a fun town. If you're into, drinking and getting after it, I mean, it's a fun town. You got to be a little careful walking down when you go up in the frat houses and then you're ready to meander your way downtown. It's at about a
90-degree angle.
Yeah, it's about a 90-degree angle. But yeah, there's something nice about West Virginia. Steve, I'll pass it to you.
Michael Vick was my favorite player. That was the reason when I was young, I played quarterback for a time and wore number 7 and wore shoes in high school. So I think I never had the fortunate to go to Blacksburg, but I hear it's well.
Grayson.
Wore the Vapor cleats. Love that, man. The Vic cleats were awesome. I'll say this. Literally, when I moved to Los Angeles, my immediate friend group, the people that I befriended through a friend of a friend, were all Mountaineers. It was a group of 5 of them, and 3 of them have left since then. It's really sad, but they're all incredible people, and one of them is still one of my closest friends to this day in Los Angeles. Shout out Zach Patrick and Logan McMasters, who just sent me a very unsavory text about the game on Thursday as we record this podcast. We're going to deal with that after this, but I love those guys, man. Shout out to those guys. Matty.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Whenever I'm anywhere and I meet somebody who's gone to Tech, we have an instant bond. There's no doubt about it. I think Blacksburg is one of the most beautiful places to go watch a game. It's classy. It's nice. It really is. You just feel like you're watching a team that's been around a long time. It feels really good. I also like that your mascot is just horrible, and it's like beyond. Like we don't even get, we never even get to make fun of it much because it's just so terrible. It's like, what are you going to say about it? The Hokies. There you go. But thank you for that, having that mascot, and ours being so much more superior.
All right. Moving on to the lines of the game. Grayson, go ahead and give us the lines of the game, and then we're going to go ahead and do score predictions.
Over under 51 points.
We're going to give score predictions, so just go ahead and give the Vegas lines in general.
What does it say here, Billy Ray? Tech is getting.
We got Tech is getting 1.5, so West Virginia is favored by 1.5 points, and the over under is set at 51 points. I got to be honest, I have no idea what's going to happen on Thursday. I know there are going to be a ton of people there. I know West Virginia is going to score points. I've seen some score predictions thrown out where it's like, Tech's going to win 10-13 or Tech's going to win 7-17. No. That is not the type of football game that's going to be played on Thursday. I am not going to pick Tech to lose the game, but if they win this game, they're going to have to score at a minimum 24 points. So I will go 28-31 Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Go ahead, Grayson.
Oh man. This will be the one we finally get over 27 points because we're going to have to. Again, in this game, I cannot pick the Hokies to lose. I cannot do it, and I will not do it. I'm picking the Hokies 38-35. We beat them by 3, and it's going to be a boxing match all the way.
That's a lot of points. 38 points is a lot. I keep talking about this game, and I'm like, what does the score have to look like for us to win? And every time I'm just like, we
have to score a lot of points.
Scoring this many points. So,
we have to score a lot of points.
Go ahead, Matty.
In the words of Mr. T and Rocky 3, my prediction: pain. I think our offense is going to run you up and down the field. I think our defense will finally show up. I'm predicting 38-14. WVU, my dogs agree.
38-14 West Virginia. I would be a very sad clam. Steve, go ahead.
Man, I like that number, 38-14. But I think this has to be a week our defense shows up. So I'm gonna have to go 45-7 West Virginia.
All right.
Guys.
We're saying this is going to be a classic game. All the eyes are going to be on Blacksburg for a great game. And we're like, oh, man, it's going to be a great game, a battle. Y'all are like, yeah, we're going to come into your house. We're going to win by 28, 21 points.
That 65 tastes too good not to get up more.
Hey, listen, we have
they're about it.
Let's Twitter, which is so pessimistic all the time and just the worst. We got to bring the positivity, know. So I think the first quarter will be a fun game, and then the rest of the game, you guys are just kind of.
So let's make it
JT Daniels. Who is this guy?
Well, we have a prearranged bet. So Matty, why don't you go ahead and share with everybody what our bet is here?
Right, the VT guys agreed to stand naked. With just bra and panties on, and we agreed that we will just hold signs. We'll both take pictures holding signs saying the I almost said the blue diamond, the black diamond belongs in Blacksburg. We'll say it belongs there. It lives there, and you guys will
reciprocate.
Yeah, vice versa.
Yes,
you will.
Man, this is exciting. I can't wait for Thursday to get here. It's a sellout. It's going to be beautiful. The weather's a little weird. I don't know if you guys have looked at the weather. It's supposed to be 80 degrees during the day and then get down to 47 right around kickoff or the end of the first quarter.
Beautiful football weather. Love it.
Going to be interesting.
That really is football weather right there.
It absolutely is. So we're going to move right along to Letters to the Lunch Pail. This is our final segment here. The first question comes from Logan Ross, who's living in a house divided. Logan Ross is a Hokie dating a Mountaineer. But this is a question for everybody. West Virginia's defense hasn't exactly been what a lot of people and a lot of fans thought it would be this year. I don't know what fans were thinking that their defense would be awesome. But where can Tech's offense capitalize going up against their defense? I actually am interested to hear what you all are going to say. My question is basically, I think the wide receiver room took a step forward last week with Jaden Blue getting more reps because he's healthy now. Hopefully Caleb Smith is good to go, and Connor Blumerick getting more reps in the wide receiver position. But again, you're not going to be able to get wide receivers the football if there's no time to throw it. So, Steve, I'll pass it to you. What areas really concern you specific to the defense? I know you're fired up about the front seven.
Yeah. I'll say for your offense to do well, be misdirection. I think that's what Kansas did to get back into the game. And I think we still struggled from the third to the fourth quarter with all the misdirection and just not being able or getting our eyes stuck in the backfield and not following the ball. So I think that's where you guys would be successful to move the ball, not put points on the board.
I have to agree with my friend Steve that is, we have just done a terrible job at that. Short passes, just not been there, not finishing tackles. If our front line steps up and plays like it did for most of Pitt, it will be a different story. But again, who knows who's showing up this week? I think they're going to show up pretty fired up, though.
Steve Bryce, question for the whole gang. Who needs to have a bigger game in order for us? I assume he means the Hokies because he's a Hokie fan. Who needs to have a bigger game in order for us to win? Who is the spotlight on, starting with West Virginia? Well, I guess for me, who needs to have a big game? It's got to be Grant Wells and the offense. Grant Wells and the offensive line. That's the answer. For us to have a big game, it's the offensive line in their entirety as a cohesive unit and our quarterback.
I completely agree. I think at the end of the day, a lot of what I've said today is based upon the fact that I'm hoping our defense for the fourth week in a row shows up and plays the way that they've played all season. I think the question mark comes down to Grant Wells. You cannot turn the ball over against West Virginia. If you want to play defense and you want to keep this to a relatively low scoring game, that is certainly a strategy. It's not going to work if you turn the ball over. If you turn the ball over 2 or 3 times, we are going to lose this game 44-16, 35-7, something like that.
45-7, like Steve said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. Steve, what about yourself? Who are you really looking to have a breakout performance against Tech on the West Virginia team?
I wouldn't say JT Daniels because I think he's going to do what he does, but I think continuing CJ Donaldson. I think he's going to solidify himself as one of the next best running backs at West Virginia.
Matty.
Dante Stills. When he's on fire, the defense is on fire. I want to hear his name early and often and see him getting in on the ball. If that happens, we're in good shape. And our special teams just has to play like it did for most of Pitt, where we actually scored a touchdown on special teams, which is the first time. And I couldn't even tell you last time we did that. So, again, because if we start losing that battle, that's when it feels like the team gets down. If we have one of those moments, like we've had the last, two of the first 2 games where one play just sucked the wind out of the team, that's where it will be disaster for us.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, this has been a ton of fun. We're coming up on 7:45. Matty, just so everybody, if you're listening here and you want to keep up with the Mountaineers, you have a Mountaineer friend who may be looking for a podcast. Matty, can you go ahead and let us know where we can find your podcast and where we can find both of you on social media?
So my company is called Jam Street Media. We make a lot of podcasts, including one called Appalachian Mysteria, which is true crime based in Appalachia. We did one about Virginia and the Blue Ridge Mountain murderer. Parkway Murderer this last season. Our show, of course, The Burning Couch. You can find us at Burning Couch Pod on Twitter. And again, I always like to say this podcast is one of the oldest player podcasts around. We started it as the Pat White podcast with Pat and I 10 years ago. Pat and Steve joined the show in 9 years ago. And then, depending on who's working and who's doing what, it's kind of been interchangeable a little bit. But Pat has gotten a very nice job working for the Chargers, so he's not been able to do the thing, but we appreciate it. And I'm at Matty Staudt, MattyStaudt. I should have put that on my name thing because nobody ever remembers how to spell it.
And Steve, where can everybody find you? What have you been up to?
House dad, schoolwork, all that good stuff. Family man. You can find me on Twitter, Steve23 Slaton. That's pretty much my main social where I reply back the most.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, best of luck tomorrow. Best of luck on Thursday, kind of. But definitely best of luck the rest of the season, and best of luck to both of us trying to figure out this conference realignment. I just hope we're not both holding the bag here, and hopefully we're in the same conference. Make it happen. I don't care where it is. I don't care what conference it is. I want this to happen more. So really appreciate it, and looking forward to the game on Thursday.
Go Hokies.
All right. Enjoy your loss, Hokies.